Now, as we said, this David Haye, whether the trash talk has gone too far, thing we've been discussing today, it's really polarised opinion, hasn't it?
And I've got two short ones that actually sum up, I think, basically the things we've had this afternoon. John says, as much as I want a British heavyweight champ, a part of me wants Haye to get battered. He's like Ali without the class. And Rob Moore says, the way the Klitschko's have stunk up the heavyweight division, I'll forgive David Haye anything he does in order to win.
Well, a couple from me. I'm hoping Klitschko beats Haye and knocks him down a peg or two. Starting to dislike Haye more each time I hear him speak. No class at all, says Mick in Enfield. But to counter that, John says if Haye didn't do the trash talk, he wouldn't have got the Klitschko brothers' attention. The fight wouldn't be happening. You can't have it both ways. And Will saying, are you two having a laugh? David Haye is preparing for a boxing match, not a sewing contest. What do you expect him to have? A cuddle? Anyway.
No, have some respect.
Well, look.
Don't talk about killing somebody.
A little comment from Frank Warren today in The Sun, suggesting he feels the trash talk ahead of this fight has gone too far. Not for the first time around David Haye. Good afternoon, Frank.
Good afternoon.
As we said, we've ever had a subject that's polarised opinion so much. We're getting equal for and against. Some people saying, well, look, this is boxing. Trash talk is part and parcel. Some people saying Ali did some fairly unpleasant stuff in Joe Frazier's direction. Mike Tyson, the man you promoted in the past, said some fairly evil stuff about Lennox Lewis. But do you feel this time it has gone too far?
Of course it's gone too far. I don't recall too many boxers talking about, putting people in hospital. I'm sure, the likes of, great boxers like Michael Watson, Mark Galt, Joe McClellan, who've actually wound up in hospital. Can you imagine, how their family must feel hearing stuff like that? I don't think it's indefensible. Our sport's a dangerous sport. It's one of the most dangerous sports. And you don't need idiotic comics like that. And I don't care about, and anybody who wants to send messages into the radio saying it's selling fight, they must be as moronic as the person saying it.
It does seem on the face of it, this is the fight. It's a heavyweight fight. It's probably, arguably, apart from Vitali versus Haye, it's the biggest heavyweight fight out there. The Americans haven't got a great deal to offer at the moment. So does this fight need to be kind of bummed up like this, Frank?
No, you've got to remember that Haye was signed to fight Vitali Klitschko a few years ago and then pulled out of an injury. Then he was about to sign to fight Vladimir, I think it was just before the Valuev fight, and pulled out of that. So the fight could have been made a couple of years ago. It's obviously a much bigger fight now. But what's being said and the things he's doing, especially with this is not what it should be all about. The fight it stands alone. It's a good fight, and why even sink to levels like that to sell it? It doesn't need it. I know they've not sold the tickets. Apparently in Germany there's over 10,000 tickets I'm hearing left for the fight because the Brits didn't go for it. And maybe that's the knock-on effect that, the Brits are saying, hang on a minute, enough is enough. We don't want this. It's not like, Ricky Hatton, when he went to fight in Vegas, the people got behind him because he didn't stoop to that level. He didn't come out with garbage like that, and the fight sold. You can't compare David Haye with Muhammad Ali. I mean, that's an insult to Muhammad Ali. He was a great, great heavyweight, one of the best heavyweights of all time. Probably the greatest heavyweight of all time. You can't even put him in a bracket of that yet. Fighting Aldi Harrison, Monty Barrett, and John Ruiz and Valuev. I mean, please do me a favour. So this fight is a good fight. It's a stand-up fight. It's a fight where the heavyweight division's been crying out for. Get it on, and it doesn't need all this nonsense. It's wrong.
So I was thinking, Frank, what is this about? Is it about selling pay-per-view? Is it part of the
I don't know. He does it in every fight. He does it every fight, doesn't he? He's going to cut somebody's head off. He's going to do this. He's going to do that. It's ridiculous. I don't know why he does it. I mean, maybe he thinks that's the way to do it. I suppose the other side of the coin, it has got him some attention, but is it the right sort of attention? I mean, he's got a couple of sort of blue chip sponsors. What are they thinking about all this at the moment? Would they want to be associated with it? I mean, what would the FA do if that was a footballer saying the things and doing the things and telling people to do the things that he's asking them to do? What would the jockey, was it who oversee the jockeys?
Jockey club.
Brain's going on. Yeah, what do they say about it at the moment? The boxing board of control are a disaster area as far as that's concerned. They've let them get away with it time and time again without doing anything. I mean, I think it seems to me they're just happy to cop for the sanction fee and not do anything about it. And what message does that send out to young fighters? Our business is a very much maligned sport. You know, boxing is a much maligned sport, and it's things like this that actually, you know, give all the knockers all the ammunition they need. It's not right. And a lot of good fighters over the years you think about. You know, you think of the McGuigans, you think of the Lennox Lewises, the Frank Brunos, the Henry Cooper. I mean, you know, been great for British boxing, great for British sport. How can you call this good for British sport? And to even in a couple of weeks ago dedicate this fight to Henry Cooper, could you imagine what he would be saying if he was alive?
No, he wouldn't be impressed,
Frank,
I don't think.
Frank, when you've had boxers you felt have gone a bit too far, have you kind of reined them in? Have you said, look, you know, they're selling fights and they're selling fights? Yeah.
Yeah, we had it a couple of weeks ago. You know, James DeGale and you know,
George Groves. Yeah.
George Groves fight that got you know, at times got a little bit silly, but nothing like this. And you know, funny. I met with James yesterday, and we talked about it. And you know, it's not the way to go. You know, good fights don't need garbage like this. It's certainly not at this level. It's just the worst thing ever. You know, you just think what you're saying here. Who's the player who walked off a pitch a couple of weeks ago? He had a banana thrown at him.
Roberto Carlos. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, he walked off the pitch and wouldn't play. I mean, you know, good for him to do that. But what, you know, is this any different?
On the fight itself, finally, Frank, you're kind of to and fro as it gets closer to the fight. How do you see it?
You know, you've got to look at the two guys' records. You look at the amount of fights they've had, and the experience they've had, and the levels they've fought at. You know, David Haye's done really well in all he's had to do. This is a different. This fight for him is a different type of fight. You can't fight Klitschko as he full value. If he backs off, I mean, that fight was. I mean, he was just on the back foot for the more or less the 12th round until he started unloading. He's not going to be able to do that with Klitschko because Klitschko is actually a better boxer and certainly more mobile than Valiev was. He can't do what he did against Alden Harrison, which was the same thing for 2.5 rounds in Millis for a punch, but neither of them for a punch for 2.5 rounds. So for me, he's got to take the fight to Klitschko. He's got to use his speed. He can punch. He's got to get under Klitschko's jab. It means he's got to make him smell. He is obviously smaller than Klitschko. He's got to get under that jab, and he's got to start, you know, letting his shots go inside, and then getting away. And that's going to be the key to it. Can he do that? And if he has to do that, can he do it for 12 rounds? If he can't, you know, hit him on the button. And for me, I just feel that Klitschko is. You know, I just feel that he's going to be too big for him. I think he's a much more improved fighter since I mean, he's been on the floor 12 times in his career, but I think you got to go back 5 or 6 years before the last time. And I think Emmanuel Stewart's done a really good job on his defence. And I just feel that it's, you know, in Germany, he's certainly got the crowd against him for now, that's for sure. He's going to be in a hostile environment as far as that's concerned. I just feel that it's too much of a call for him.